guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit of a tutorial. It's something that I used to be really into. I used to do all the time, but I just haven't had time to do it a lot lately. I kind of stopped, and it's going to be kind of the basics on how to crochet. I'm going to split this up into two different videos because there's many ways to crochet. The first way, I'm actually not done with this blanket, is just a basic granny square blanket. And I was self-taught. I read a couple of books, and then that really didn't help me too much, so after that I kind of just took it into my own hands. So that's why some of the stitches are out of line. But today I'm going to show you just how to do a basic single stitch crochet, and you can really do a lot with this. This is actually going to be a blanket. As you can see, I just started. I've only done a couple of rows. So yeah, let's just get right on to the video. And the items that you will need when you crochet is, of course, yarn. I usually get mine from Hobby Lobby or Walmart. The Dollar Tree actually just started selling yarn, so that's pretty exciting as well. And then you will need a crochet hook. I am currently using, focus. It won't focus. But anyways, this is a, let me see, Susan Bates, and this is a smaller needle. This is a 8.5 millimeter needle. They have them larger, and the larger needle that you get, the larger the stitch is going to be. As you can see, this blanket is pretty tight, so it is going to use less yarn, and it is going to be thicker and warmer as well. And I always like to keep a pair of scissors next to me, just when I change rows or if I have to add more yarn or stuff of that nature. But yeah, that's really all that you need. Hey guys, so this is kind of a weird angle. It's going to be kind of difficult for me to show you. I kind of made a tripod myself with a trash can and a hole puncher. Don't ask, but it's working. But just to start the stitch, I'm going to show you how to start a row, and then I'll show you where to go from there. Right. So the first thing that you want to do is kind of loop the yarn, and then you loop it around like this, and then you just want to pull the loop through like this, and then you want to pull it until it's not tight enough that you can't move it, but you know, where it's pretty secure, but you can still adjust it if you need to. Right? And then you're just going to take your your hook, and pull down on the string that's hanging off, and put it on the long string just to make it kind of tighter. That's why I said don't make it so tight that you can't adjust it. And then everybody holds yarn differently, but the way that I hold my yarn, I wrap it around my pinky like this, and then I wrap it around my finger like this, so it's going over my pinky and under my index finger. Right? And then you just want to hold the knot. And then what you're going to do, make sure your hook is facing you and the yarn is behind the hook, and you're going to take it and wrap it around once so it looks like this, and then you're going to turn the hook, and then you're just going to pull the yarn through. So that's your first stitch, and I'll show you a couple more times. Make sure the hook is facing you when you start and the yarn is behind the hook, and then you wrap the hook around, and then you turn the hook over, make sure you're grasping the yarn, and you pull it through. And if it's easier for you, you can do it looser. I'm used to doing it. I like mine tight, but if you want to do it looser so it goes through easier, you can do that as well. I'll do it one more time, a little bit looser. Just kind of loosen the yarn in your hand. Make sure the yarn is behind the hoop. The hook, not the hook. The hoop, I'm sorry. Can't talk. And then you twist it so it's facing downwards and pull it through. And then you just do this until you get a width or a length that you would like. If you're doing a blanket, I suggest that you do it pretty long. Because it's going to be a blanket, you're going to want it to be big enough to, you know, go around you. And just for video purposes, I'm going to speed this portion up. Sorry about that, I dropped my camera. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going to continue until I get my yarn to the length that I want it to be. And I'm not going to make it as long as I usually would for a blanket. So we're just going to stop right here. So it looks like this. Right? And then to turn it around to make it into a blanket, you do the same thing. You go like you're going to make a stitch, and it's kind of hard when you're first doing the row because you have to go into these very small holes, but you hook it like you're going to do a blanket, and you want to find that first hole, and then you go, make sure you have the yarn hooked, and then I made this kind of tight so it's kind of hard. And then after you go into the hook, see how you have these two pieces of yarn? You hook the yarn again and you pull it back through that hole. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. And what you're going to do, you're going to just do the basic stitch and you're going to pull it through the first 2 loops. Not all 3, just the first 2. And sometimes you have to kind of twist it to go around, but it'll eventually go through. Alright guys, I'm so sorry. This video is going to turn out to be terrible because I don't have a tripod. So yeah, like I said, you just pull it through the first hook, the first loop, and then you're going to be left with 2 loops, and then you do the basic stitch again and just pull it through the last 2, and you'll come up to this. And I'll show you once again just for demonstration. Find that second hole and do the basic stitch, put it through the hole, grab the yarn, pull it back through so you're left with 3 stitches. Wrap the loop again, do the basic stitch, and then pull it through the first 2. So you're left with 2. And then wrap it again and pull it through the 2 again. So you just do this all the way down. Make sure that you are only getting in 1 hole when you're doing this. And I'll do it a couple more times just for demonstration. And like I said, it is a lot harder when you're first starting, but once you get, you know, the layout for it, it's not as hard because it's not as tight. First 3, and you pull it for the 2, and then you wrap again and pull it for the last 2. So as you can see where I'm going, you just keep doing this all the way down until, you know, your whole piece of yarn is looped. And then I'm going to get my regular blanket that I'm working on, and I'll be back to show you how you go from there. Alright guys, so this is my blanket. It's still very small, as you can see. It looks more like a long headband now. But if you can see, this is the bottom. This is where we started. And then you just keep going around and around and around until it gets thicker and thicker. And when you're finally finished with that first row, getting them through the very first holes, like I said, it's much easier. You're still going to do the same stitch. Let me show you kind of up close. So now you've created separate holes. You've created larger holes from stitching them in the separate holes. And you just do your basic stitch, wrap it around, and then you're going to go into each hole and do your basic stitch, and then you always go through the first 2, and then you wrap again and go through the last 2. So like this, and then like this, and like this. And I'll do it one more time. Wrap it, go into the hole, pull it out so there's 3, go through the first 2, and then go through the last 2. So yeah, and you just keep doing that. It is a very lengthy process, but it is very relaxing, and you just keep doing that until you get the blanket to the size that you want it. And I hope this, I know it wasn't the best tutorial because the setup is kind of terrible, but I hope it did help you out a little bit. If you have any questions, definitely leave it below. and I am definitely looking forward to getting my tripod so I can do more tutorials like this and do a tutorial on my granny square. Alright, so great. Thanks guys. Have a great day.